Hi, and welcome to Bro Op, a video game podcast. This is episode 1. I'm Michael Yaschak, your host, and my co-host is Jim DeVolis. And today we're going to talk about World of Warcraft addiction and how it's a mother effer.
Right you are.
Wow. Okay, so I just wanted to put a little bit of a history down. Jim and I met last summer, and we trended the bond over the video games that we played, and then we ended up having a conversation a few months later about how we were both extremely addicted to World of Warcraft, and how it almost ruined our lives. And, yeah, what's your feelings on World of Warcraft at this point in your life?
Having spent so much time away from it at this point, and being on the outside of what was once a fairly grappling addiction, I reject the idea of ever playing the game again, when in reality it's not necessarily the game's fault.
Okay, I'm going to tend to agree with you that it's not the game's fault. It completely is, a user-based experience. But would you say that the game is sort of designed to keep you playing? Like in some games you go and there's a piece of loot on a boss that will always drop off that boss, and you beat that boss and you get that piece of loot. But when you're doing World of Warcraft, if you're raiding like we were, you have to do it over and over and over and over again to finally get what you're looking for. And then there's the things like crafting, and then there's the events, and wouldn't you say that it's like psychologically made to keep you playing?
Well, it's actually a multifaceted thing. It's not necessarily about the rating and the piece of loot. Because there's plenty of people who actually, I've known throughout the years, that were addicted to the game that actually weren't raiders. However, raiding is a big portion of it. Here's kind of a breakdown of the facets of it. First off, World of Warcraft has its own economy, a very stable economy. It's one of the few games out there with an economy that is its own self-sustaining economy driven by the players. Now, what that creates is a market, and you need people for that market. And that's just one aspect right there. You have people that make money in the game, that they interact with each other in the game. It's much like when you go to the store and you buy a loaf of bread. Well, this scenario here, you've got a few different combining things. You've got economy being one of them. You have the fact that social aspect of the game, which is entirely driven by many different of these facets between the economy. Maybe you enjoy making that WoW gold, or the social aspect of doing events, the social aspect of doing this. There's so many different social things to the game that replaces real life social things, that if you're the type of person who might be looking for an outlet of social activity, you could find this easily to replace every social aspect of your life, including romance, and many people do.
That's a great point. I've actually witnessed a few romances within WoW. They happened to turn out well, though. Like, they ended up meeting, and then they ended up moving in with each other. I'm not going to name names because it's just weird, because no one would know. But, I have to agree with what you're saying about the auction house. I know people who just play the auction house over and over and over and every single day, and they have applications outside of World of Warcraft that will let you log into the auction house wherever you're at. Like on the iPhone, wasn't it like $5, $6, right, or whatever? It's just, oh man, it's so weird.
On the romance, sorry.
Go ahead.
On the romance point, I mean, it's crazy. I knew a guy who lived in Boston, met a girl who was in Idaho, and he literally sold every possession he had to go move out with her. Didn't visit her first, went out, lived with her. Moved across the country. Now, of course, when the relationship ended, he had to move back across the country. But, these are things that are very real for this game, because when you log in every day to these people and these names, these avatars, you first off get to strip off your own defenses. You get to kind of be like, all right, I'm an avatar. It really doesn't matter what I say and what I do. And that tends to actually bring out some of the more honest sides of people, like viciously honest sides of people. And it's very fascinating in that regard because, like I said, you can literally replace every social aspect of your life outside of a video game with something in that video game, from everything from making money to going out and doing something. Hell, you can even pretend to drink. I've done that many nights where I've gone to certain places and just gotten hammered in the game. And yeah, we used to, we had places in Dalaran like that. We'd sit there for hours just talking on Vent or Skype or whatever we were doing, drinking the alcoholic games, not being able to see straight in the game. I mean, again, you can replace literally everything that you do outside of the game with something in the game.
Okay, so just a different topic. What made you stop? Because for myself personally, I ended up, it just got to a point where my guild fell apart at the end of Wrath of the Lich King. It was ending, we had done everything, and everybody stopped playing, getting ready for Cataclysm, and everybody left, and it was just, there was nobody really left besides myself, a guild master, and some of the officers, of which I was one. And then at that point, I just was like, I didn't play for like 2 weeks, and I just felt this like huge sense of relief for not having to log in. And it just sort of stayed that way. Like months later, I went back and played Cataclysm for about a month, and then but it just didn't have the same hook in me that it did, and I just sort of kept that ball rolling, and like, yeah. So, what about you?
Do you want the abridged version? Because there's a story behind it.
Abridged version, I guess, yeah. We've only got a few minutes.
Alright, cool. I had been a guild master for a very long time, and essentially what I was doing is I was paying Blizzard $15 a month to micromanage their game. And I got pretty burnt out on that, and so then after I was done being a guild master, I decided I'd go be a part of someone else's guild. And then I learned what it was like to have the demands of being a raider put on myself, which really were burning me out, stressing me out, burning me out. You gotta be here every night for this. There's no leniency. You can't be off. This is a job outside of a job. I was working 50 hours a week at a job, and now I'm working 30 hours a week on a game that I'm paying to play. Well, then one night, my future wife wanted to go out on a particularly beautiful spring evening, or summer evening, and I said, no, because I got a raid. Instead, I'll take off the next day and go to the beach with you from work. And I go to the beach with her the next day, and through a series of events, I end up getting third-degree burns on the back of both of my kneecaps. And that kind of set things in motion like, had I have just taken my wife out to go get some ice cream and play some mini golf instead of sitting there at my second job on a video game, maybe I could have avoided that. I mean, who knows? I could have gone to the beach a week later and had the same thing happen. But, now I continued to play for about 4 or 5 months after that, but kind of just being a drifter in the game, kind of a loner. And by the time that loner feeling in the game finally set in and I realized I was as alone in the game as I had become in life, it was like, oh, hey, I'm not going to pay to really do this anymore. And, yeah, I was done.
Sounds good. And so it's been about 2 years for me since I've been done. How long has it been for you?
I quit finally in August of 2011. I was given a 60-day gift card for Christmas of 2011, and I went and tried playing again and made it through 2 weeks of time before I just stopped. I couldn't even get the game for free and continue to play it.
Thank you for your input. I do appreciate it. I just wanted to talk about this because I don't think people realize that there are certain games out there that can really get their hooks in you, and that will keep you, like you said, it can replace every single aspect of your social life. Luckily for you and I, we got out of it, but there are still plenty of people who just play that game every day, day in and day out, like you said, like it's a second job, and even if they're not raiding. There's actually a website called wowholics.com, and it's stories and stories and stories about how that, like, particularly World of Warcraft, has almost destroyed people's lives. And I just suggest that if anybody's having any problems, or anybody who's listening is having any issues with World of Warcraft, and you're finding that, it's taking up more time than you want it to take up, and you can't necessarily rip yourself away from it, I would suggest to go to that website. Once again, it's wowholics.com. And just check out those stories, and you can know that you're not alone, and that you're not the only one who's ever been, I guess, afflicted by an addiction to a video game, specifically an MMO. At this point, it's been about our time is up. So I just want to thank Jim again for coming on and sharing his story. and I hope you guys found it interesting, and keep playing. Bye.